I'm author CJ Peterson. My co-host over here is author Michael Scott Clifton. Welcome to Book World: The Great Escape. Today we're going to be talking about the importance and impact of knowing your target audience. Before we get there, Mike, how are things in your author world?
Swimmingly. Swimmingly, yes. I like that term. Combines a gerund with an adverb, swimmingly. So anyway, I am 2 or 3 chapters shy of finishing my 10th book, The New Year's Man. I think I found a book. Yep. I think I found a cover artist that I'm going to use. And I've already got the formatting date set, which will be the end of August.
Nice.
So it's, we talked about this a little bit a couple of, last week too. Whenever you're an author and you finish a book, there's just not a feeling, especially if it's one you've worked on for a while. It's hard to describe the feeling, of accomplishment and what you've done. You might not sell a single book, but it's still something that you did yourself. And so I always take a deep breath and just really, sometimes, I don't know about you, CJ, but sometimes it's just like, how did I do this? But somehow I managed to stumble through and I really like the book, and I'm so glad that I can see the end of the road here and finally get it published. The other thing is, both of us will be at the East Texas Comic Con in Longview on Saturday and Sunday. And my daughter, we were talking a little bit before the show, my daughter and my 5-year-old grandson live in Longview, and they're going to attend. And this will be my grandson has been to other Comic Cons, but it was when he was a toddler, and he probably doesn't remember a thing about it. So this is really going to be his first one. He actually is cognizant of what's going on, and he's looking forward to meeting the Power Ranger that's going to be there as a celebrity guest. My daughter got him hooked on Power Rangers, and she's a big Power Ranger fan when she was a kid growing up herself. So a little nostalgic about all that. So those are the things that are going forward. I've got 3 Comic Cons coming up in August. The Bell County Comic Con, which is a huge, ginormous one that's held in Belton or Temple. They're kind of the cities share a boundary. And then in Greenville, Texas, the Walworth Author Fest, which will have over 70-something authors. It'll actually have some of the authors that we had on as guests here on Book World, as a matter of fact, like Dana Wayne, aka Nancy Hudgens, for example. And then at the end of August is the Arkansas Comic Con, and I believe it's the Arkansas Comic. No, it's the Piney Woods Comic Con. Again, I got Arkansas is in September, so my bad. Time out. Anyway, no, and again, we'll both be there. Of course, you have an important role because you're running the floor and getting everything organized. So I'm just going to be a vendor. So we're looking forward to that. And so things are going great.
Definitely. So in my world, I'm nearing the end of the book for the multi-genre fantasy book regarding dragons. So that one's almost done. So we're nearing the publication for that one. We're close to the end of that one, starting to wrap up. Super excited for that one. As you said, the East Texas Comic Con in Longview, Texas. That will be this weekend. It'll be Saturday and Sunday. Saturday from 11 to 7, Sunday from 11 to 5. You can learn more about that at easttexascomiccon.com. That will be at Lake Jackson Civic Center, located at 33TX. Is that right? Lake Jackson? No, that's not right.
No, it would be the Gregg County Fairgrounds. Is that?
No, that's not right. Let me find
it's
that.
Same place as the last 2 years, CJ?
Yeah, give me a second. That's not right. Let me find it.
Exhibition Center?
No, let me find it. It is at the Longview Exhibit Center at 1123 JC Drive and Longview, Texas, 75604. That, and that was JC Drive at 75604. So that will be the Longview Exhibit Center at 1123 JC Drive, Longview, Texas, 75604. Free parking. Tickets will be for the weekend. They will be for adults, $25, for teens, $15. Kids 12 and under are free. The guests for this weekend will be, as we already mentioned, the Yellow Power Ranger, Karen Ashley, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, 80s wrestler, Michael Sorich, voice actor, Vic Magnolia, John Duggan, and Alan Danziger for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So we have lots of cool guests coming this weekend. We have tons of variety of vendors and artists will be there. There will also be gaming. There'll be tournaments and free play for the weekend. So tons of fun. Make sure to come on down there. I'll be running the floor. So if you see the streak with red hair flying through the convention center, that's me. I will be there. Make sure to stop me to say hi. I will be there, but I will also have fun. I enjoy doing that, and I have tons of fun doing so. I will have that. That will be this weekend on the 18th and 19th down in Longview. And then, as you already said, the 29th and 30th of August down in Lufkin is the Piney Woods Comic-Con. And you find that at pineywoodskomiccon.com. We've already started announcing a couple of guests down there for that one. And then in September, on the, make sure I get the correct dates, 19th and 20th is Victoria Fan Fest. We've actually started, I think maybe might have been announced on that one. Mark your calendars for that one. Victoria Fan Fest. Mark your calendars for that one as well. So we have Comic-Cons coming up left, right, and center. Mark your calendars for those. And like I said, the book that I have coming out is an anthology where each of the authors have written a chapter or two throughout the book, and it's a fantasy one about dragons. So, down to the nitty-gritty. We're here to talk about the importance of knowing your target audience. I'm going to start with a statement that I wrote. You need to understand your genre, theme, tone, writing style, age group, reading behavior, and emotional appeal. Your book, cover, summary, audience, everything must appeal to your target audience. Everything must be geared toward your target. If not, you are gearing your energy toward the incorrect target and your efforts will be fruitless. Agree or disagree?
Oh, no. I mean, that's, I've made that mistake when I was early in my writing. The worst possible thing you could do as an author, whether you're an experienced author or just beginning, is to market your book to the wrong audience. Not only will they not read not only will it be a disaster for your book sales, but you're liable to make some of them angry because they feel like it's false advertising.
Yep. And we were talking before, there's kind of like two sides to this, kind of the yin and the yang. There's like a psychological aspect, and then there's actually just the genre aspect to it. You kind of have to, there's kind of two ways to go about this. One of them would be kind of like to analyze your protagonist's age, kind of look at the protagonist and go, okay, I'll look at my protagonist's age, kind of go at there and kind of look at it and kind of go, okay, my protagonist's age is this. So kind of look at some books that might have protagonists about that same age and go, okay, it's about this age. So kind of go in there and see, okay, it's about this age. So that might be about the age that I'm kind of targeting. And then you can kind of narrow down there. But there are certain age brackets that you can kind of look at. So if you actually look at the age brackets, there's children's, which is 0 to 12. But you can actually narrow down children's even further. They're divided into like picture books, which is 0 to 8, which is early readers. There's middle grade, which is 8 to 12. And those themes are mostly, external with child age protagonists. There's young adult, which is 12 to 18, and those focus on like teenage protagonists, coming of age themes. They usually have, the those intense emotions that you kind of get a little bit sticky. You have young adults, age 12 to 18. Those focus on teenage protagonists, coming of age themes, and the really intense burst emotions. The new adult, this one is a really sticky one. New adults, this particular category is a really hard one. Sometimes people use it, sometimes they don't. It's a really hard one to fit in, and it's a really hard one. Sometimes people use it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just stick with young adults, sometimes they use adult. New adults is 18 to 30. They tend to target college age readers. Usually those in the, their late 20s, focus on the transition into adulthood, early career, romantic relationships, kind of exploring that sort of thing. Adults is usually 18 plus. So you can kind of see where that kind of gets tricky between new adult and adult. And 18 plus encompasses all other categories, basically catering to readers across various age groups, depending on their genres, basically sci-fi, romance, literary fiction, etc. So the new adult and the adult, you can kind of play on the in-between.
Yeah.
You can kind of see where those two...
I think they're kind of seamless.
Like a made-up category half the time.
I think they're seamless. I don't see a lot of difference, to be honest with you, between new adult and adult.
I don't either, but it's kind of like, it was almost kind of like made up to me half the time. I probably will get nasty emails for that one, but I almost feel like it was a made up one, because new adults and adults, I almost feel like a new adult really doesn't need to be there. I really don't. Either it almost fits into the adult. I don't really feel it needs to be there.
Yeah. I never understood. I've never had anyone explain to me, let me put it that way, what exactly makes the difference between what's new adult and adult. It's maybe some content or something, but I just never I know it's a new category. What has it been in? The last 2 or 3 years? Is new adult?
No, actually, it's been a little bit longer. 20. I mean, it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
It's pretty well in there, but it really doesn't. It's, I think, more for like, I don't think it should go to 30s. I think it should just still be in like the age 20s. It's like the 18 to 20s bracket is where it should stay. That's why I have a hard time having it be 18 plus is the adults.
Do you think sometimes, CJ, now I understand with children's literature, okay, and teens, but sometimes I wonder if the categories are limiting are limiting readership, because like the new adult as opposed to adult.
Yeah.
Of course,
the adult is pulled out,
because they're there obviously to give you guidance in terms of the reading level and stuff. But again, as we've talked, I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference between 18 to 30 and 30 and above.
Yeah, I don't really think there is. But I just give you the information, let you deal with it how you want.
Sure.
Another thing you can do is kind of compare titles. You find a book that's kind of like yours and kind of compare the titles and kind of look at the genres, see what they got going on there. That will kind of help you figure it out. This is a new one, psychographics. Consider your readers' values, consider the interests, the pain points, rather than just their age. Does your book provide a solution to a specific problem? Self-help. Does it provide an escape? Romance. Or an intellectual stimulation? Historical fictions will help you determine your genre. Another thing to consider is, how do you connect with your audience? I don't know if you remember, I asked one of our guests specifically, how do you connect with your audience?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't connect to your audience, that's going to be a problem in your marketing. You may need to reconsider your strategy. Always be fluid in your marketing strategy. If something isn't working, you may need to reconsider your marketing strategy. You need to connect to your reader. You need to be able to do that, because the more they connect to you, the more they're going to be wanting your books. If you're not connecting to your readers, you have a problem. They need to feel that connection. That's what's going to want them to pick up your books more. My readers know that they may not always know what kind of book they're picking up, but they know they're going to be connecting to a journey. They know that they're going to go on a wild ride. They know not, they might not know what genre it is, but they know it's going to be one doozy of a ride, and they know that it's going to be an emotional one. They probably will laugh and cry in the same book. And they know that they can email me later and say, I hate you, but I love you in the same sentence. They know this, and they know I'll be okay with it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But they also connect with me on other things. Like, they know that I'm a content creator, so they've seen other steps of my life than just my writing, because they've seen other things that Super Hubby and I do. Like, they know that we go to the parks, the national parks. They know that, we just went to the Outsiders Museum. They know that I'm a sci-fi geek. They know that, I do the cosplay stuff. So they can connect with me in other ways as well. And that helps them connect with me. And you have to be able to connect with your readers, which is why a lot of my books are geared more toward the younger readers. That's my target audience. And I know that. And that's what my target is. And a lot of the moms, homeschool moms, will get those books, read them, and pass them on to their kids. That's my target. And I know this. And so that's what my target is. And over the years, that has formed, and that's my style. And that's what works for me. And that's what I like. And that's okay with me. Are my sci-fi geeks and my homeschool crew and my, that's my crew, my Comic-Con family, and my geeks, my nerds, my people. They're my people. And that's where I live. And that's my type of people. And that's my target. And I'm okay with that. My EMS crew, because that's the books that I write. You know what I mean? And that's my target. And I'm okay with that. And that's okay. But I've learned that over the years. And people who watch my stuff and know my stuff know this. The military, the EMS, the sci-fi, all of that is my target. And that's what my content is geared toward. But if they don't know you through your content and through your stuff, they're not going to connect with you. That's all part of connecting with the author. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, so they know what they're going to get from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is what we talked about earlier today as well. That you found.
Right. So, genre is an important way to target your audience and who your audience will be. Of course, you talked about earlier about the ages, children's book, okay, new adult, 18 to 30. I will say, I'll just make one comment on the ages of being marketed to a certain age. Many times at book events I've been at, I'm asked that question. Okay, what are they age appropriate? Because they may have a teenager, they may have an elementary student, they may have one that's in middle school. And so rather than trying to go through the specific age, like this is for age up to age 12, this is from 13 to 20, what I do is I tell them I use movie ratings. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is G rated, this is PG. These books are PG-13. These books are R-rated. And 99% of the time, that gives them the information that they needed. I've had a couple of times where one of my books I would definitely call it's an R-rated book, and I had a mother that had a couple times, as a matter of fact, oh, I want to get this book. Well, I just don't, their daughter's like 10, 11, 12 years old. I just don't think that's appropriate. Well, no, she's at a high reading level. That's not the point. It's the content. And so a couple of times I've had to refuse to sell one of my books because I thought the readers were too young. Anyway, that's often the rabbit trail somewhere. Anyway, genre is a very important marketing tool to target your audience and sell books. I did a little bit of research. Of course, we know this because we've been doing this for a while, but you have major fiction categories, which include romance, which I think the subgenre of that now is romantasy, fantasy, science fiction, mystery thrillers, historical fiction, young adult, children's literature, horror, literary fiction. So those are major categories in fiction. Mm-hmm. In nonfiction, you have biography and memoir. You have self-help and personal development. You have history. You have cookbooks, true crime, science, and nature. So that can be further broken down into 50 generic genres, and there are over 100 subgenres of those 50 generic genres. The ones I listed are major genres, but are by no means comprehensive of all. There's at least 50 major genres and over 100 subgenres, which generally appeal to niche readers. You also have you have subgenres of the subgenres and subgenres of the genres of the subgenres, and so on.
You ever wonder why authors get confused when they go in there and we try to pick out our little genres and our little subgenres? The tree is huge, by the way. We go in there to.
Why are they? Why is it confusing?
We only get 3, by the way.
Yes, you do.
2 or 2, 2 or 3. We only get 2 or 3.
And then of course you with Amazon we're referring, you have search engines and you have you have keywords. So there are over 16,000 specific search categories. Now, two of the fastest ways to get your readers mad and to turn them off is to do what you were saying earlier, CJ. Market a book in the wrong age group. The second is to market a book in the wrong genre. Mm-hmm. Like I said, when I first started out, I thought, hey, I'm going to appeal to the widest audience possible. So I'll just start throwing genres out there. Okay. And one of the worst mistakes I've ever made in my life, because you get, not only do you turn off the readers, you make them mad and they'll never buy another book from you. You could be a Pulitzer Prize winner. It won't matter. Okay. Because you made them mad because you said this was a fantasy book, and it's not a fantasy book. It's historical fiction, or something along that line. So, and I think even with experienced authors, it's a little bit easier, but it isn't always. It's not so hard to target an audience according to a major genre. Okay. That's usually not too hard. But then when you're trying to also tag some subgenres to it, because, like we said, romance, and then there's romantasy, fantasy romance. You have, I wrote a book called The Endgame, which was a sports romance. Then with sports romance, you have hockey romance, you have basketball romance, you have track and field romance. I mean, the list, for every sport, there's probably a romance book that is attached to it. So it's really important that when you get the chance to market your book under subgenres, and like you were saying, you get 3 categories. Okay. You need to hit a home run on those. You really don't need to try to pack as many in there. First of all, that Amazon won't let you. But secondly, you need to make sure that you hit your target audience square in the bullseye, and you're not doing a subgenre which is just peripherally related to what you have written. And so now I will say this, and we both know this as well: niche audiences can be very productive for an author, because as you go from these broader general categories, these broader general genres, and then subgenres, and you're dicing it down smaller and smaller pieces, you're facing less and less competition from other authors. So when you get to the subgenre level, it can actually be profitable for you, because while you might not appeal to as large an audience, you're appealing to a more a sub-specific audience, which you don't have the competition of a prolific number of authors.
But it might also make it a little bit harder to find. So you got to find that balance.
Yeah. When you market it, again, if you're doing Amazon, which so many people do, and you have keywords and stuff, you're really going to have, you're going to have to, so you make a good point, CJ. Even though the subgenre these niche genres have less competition, there's a reason for that. And it's not always as easy to try to, target those audiences unless you know what you're doing. And, I've been doing this for 15, going on 20 years, and I still don't.
You just have to find the balance. It's good to put one in a broad. It's good to have one in at least one broad category, and then you can use the other two to kind of a medium, and then one in a niche, if you're going to do it that way.
Sure.
That way you're kind of spread out and balanced. Balance is key in looking for your genres.
Right.
I would say. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But
balance.
I mean, but you need, the whole purpose of the podcast today is that no matter how good a writer you are, no matter how great your book is, if you don't target the right audience, you're dead in the water before you ever get started.
Yes. But whatever you do, just make sure you are in the right zone. Otherwise, you're just toast from the get-go. So just make sure you're in the right zone, whatever you're doing.
And be careful, because we've talked about this. We could do more podcasts about it, but be careful about people that are scammers and spammers that are emailing you and texting you and sending you Facebook messages, et cetera, that say they have that secret sauce. They know how to sell your book and do all that, because 99.9% of the time it's they're just scammers and spammers trying to separate you from your money.
Exactly. Now, some of them might have a little bit of good advice, so you can pull a little bit from their stuff.
That's true. And you can have conversations with them too, and get them mad at you like you did with that one.
I do kind of play with them a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I do go with them a little bit. But some do have a little bit of advice that I do kind of pull some of their stuff from them, and then I set them free. But I do kind of play with them a little bit. I do have fun with them. I'm not gonna lie, I do mess with them a little bit, and he knows I do.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
I'm just a little evil. I'm not gonna lie. I have fun with them. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something from it. And have a good week. Next week we'll have Brandon Jones with Imagine Arkansas, which is a charity that helps people with getting some comic books into the hand to help with literacy. Learn more about it next week at 4:00 Central Time. We'll see you guys then. Have a good week.
Bye-bye. Bye.